There is something moving right now in the spirit realm that has been kept from your understanding, not because you were unworthy, not because you were forgotten, but because heaven needed to wait for the precise moment when your heart, your soul, and your eyes would be ready to receive what others would be too afraid to even acknowledge. And that moment, Archangel Michael declares, is now, because there's been a veil placed over your perception, not by God, but by forces that feared what you would become if you ever saw clearly, if you ever woke up to the full truth of your divine identity, your heavenly calling, your sacred connection to realms that human logic cannot grasp. And now, as the veil begins to tear, you may feel the unsettling sensation that something familiar is falling apart inside of you. Not your mind, not your faith, but the illusion that was placed over your life to keep you docile, distracted, disconnected from your true spiritual power. And Archangel Michael comes with urgency in his voice, his sword drawn, not against you, but for you, to cut through every lie that has been binding your spirit in false beliefs, every story that told you God could never choose someone like you, every generational deception that made you think your pain was your punishment instead of your preparation. And he speaks not in riddles, but in holy fire, saying, "The secret you were never meant to know has always been written into your soul. You were not made to blend in with the brokenness. You were made to carry revelation. And your entire life has been a journey not of random suffering, but of precise awakening. And the truth that will shake your foundation is this: you have been targeted not because of your weakness, but because of your light, because of your ancient knowing, because of the eternal assignment written into your very being before your body was ever formed in your mother's womb. And if you're wondering why the people you trusted betrayed you, why your faith was tested in silence, why your dreams died in front of you while others celebrated, it's because heaven placed a secret code in your pain. And only now, now that the time is right, can that code be unlocked. And as you listen to this message, your spirit may feel the pull, that eerie yet sacred stirring that something is waking up inside of you that can no longer be denied, a knowing that your intuition was never wrong, that your dreams were not empty, that the signs you've been seeing, numbers, names, repeated visions, unexplainable emotions, have all been pieces of a divine puzzle. And now Archangel Michael stands before you with the missing key, the one you were never supposed to find until now, the one that reveals you were born into a bloodline of spiritual warriors, dreamers, seers, and miracle bearers who were silenced, who were scattered, who were hunted not by people, but by principalities who knew what would happen if just one of you fully woke up. And you, yes, you, are the one heaven has chosen to restore what was stolen, to break the spell of fear that has been cast over your lineage, to carry the voice of the divine into places too dark for others to enter. And the secret that could change everything you believe is not some external prophecy. It is the truth that everything you need has been hidden inside you all along, and every trauma, every delay, every failure was heaven's way of shaking off the false layers until the real you, the radiant, powerful, unstoppable, spiritually anointed you, could finally rise. And even now, Archangel Michael is commanding the atmosphere around you to shift, to make room for the revelation that is about to break through, because you are standing at the edge of something that once terrified the enemy. The moment you remember who you are and why they tried so hard to keep you asleep. And now that your soul has been stirred awake, Archangel Michael reveals the part of the secret that was never meant to be spoken aloud. Because it's not only about what you were called to do, but about what has been watching you from the shadows, what has been interfering with your clarity, manipulating your choices, and whispering doubts into your ear, not because you are weak, but because the light you carry was blinding them long before you were even aware of it. And this is why so many of your relationships have felt strangely timed. Why some people entered your life not to love you, but to confuse you, to sabotage your confidence just enough that you would start second-guessing your divine path. And Michael says it plainly. These were not coincidences. They were calculated placements from spiritual forces that feared what would happen if you ever stepped into your full awareness. Because your presence in this timeline is not random. It is a strategic move from heaven to confront generational deception that has lingered for far too long. And while you may have felt like the outcast, the misunderstood one, the sensitive one who always felt too much, too deeply, too differently, that sensitivity was never a flaw. It was the signal, the antenna, the built-in radar that made you the perfect vessel to carry truths that could not be given to those who are numb. And that radar, though once painful, is now becoming your greatest gift because Archangel Michael is telling you that you have been decoding spiritual information since you were a child. You have felt the heaviness in rooms where no one said a word. You have cried over things no one else noticed. And you've woken up in the middle of the night with dreams that you were too afraid to share. But all of it, yes, all of it, was heaven's way of keeping the conversation with you alive, even when your environment tried to silence it. And now it becomes clear why you were isolated, why some doors slammed shut with no explanation, why you couldn't find peace in places others were content to remain, because your soul was wired for more, and that more is not material. It is spiritual, it is ancient, and it is encoded with instructions that only your soul can carry. And that is why you have been under fire, because dark forces don't attack what doesn't threaten them. And you, unaware of your full potential, have already been disrupting the atmosphere, already been shifting frequencies just by existing, already been triggering awakenings in others just by speaking the truth they were too afraid to admit. And now that heaven sees you are ready to receive more, Michael is opening your eyes to what was done in secret to dim you, to slow you, to confuse you, because there were people you trusted who were unknowingly under the influence of forces sent to drain your light. And yet you survived it. You outlived their betrayal. You continued to rise. And that alone has made your name known in the realms beyond this one. And Archangel Michael says, it is time to understand what they try to bury. Your voice carries the frequency of heaven. And when you speak from the fire you've endured, chains break in the unseen, lies collapse, and old systems of spiritual deception begin to fall apart. And that is why you were marked since birth, not for destruction, but for divine disruption. To be the one who interrupts generational patterns, not by preaching, but by living a life so lit with God's truth that nothing dark can remain hidden in your presence. And that's why you feel people are either drawn to you or completely repelled. It's not personal, it's spiritual recognition, because you're no longer just a person walking through life. You are becoming a carrier of God's hidden truth, the kind that exposes false comfort, the kind that confronts every false idol of control, fear, shame, and self-hatred. And heaven says that this sacred information, this secret you are starting to absorb, is not for you to keep hidden. It is for you to embody, because in embodying it, you will wake up others who have been living in the same fog you were once trapped in, and they will see the light not just in your words, but in your resilience, your peace, your joy, your clarity, and your refusal to bow to what once intimidated you. And as this secret continues to unfold, Michael warns that more attacks may try to rise, not to defeat you, but to test if you will forget what heaven just revealed. And that is why you must keep listening, because what comes next will take everything you just learned and set it ablaze with divine power that cannot be undone. And now that your soul has been given access to a truth few are prepared to carry, Archangel Michael speaks with fire in his voice and light in his wings, because the secret you are beginning to grasp was never meant to merely inform you. It was meant to activate you. This is not just revelation. It is a call into your divine memory, the place in your spirit that remembers what the world tried to erase. And Michael says, the reason you have been under pressure, the reason your dreams have felt more intense, the reason your body has felt heavy or your mind scattered, is because the veil has been lifting whether you're ready or not. And what is being revealed is not just about the enemies around you, but the systems that trained you to doubt yourself, to dismiss your intuition, to ignore your warnings, and submit to silence when your spirit was screaming, and heaven never blamed you for obeying those false voices. Because you were trying to survive in a world that punishes sensitivity, that mocks spiritual discernment, that rewards numbness and distraction and noise. And still, you remained receptive. Still, you questioned what others blindly followed. And that resistance is proof that the light in you refused to go out even when surrounded by spiritual fog. And now that you have crossed into this awakening, the whispers in your soul will only grow louder. And Archangel Michael warns you. You will not be able to unsee what is coming, because the truth has been hidden in plain sight, and your eyes were never blind. They were just waiting for the appointed moment. And this is it. This is the hour heaven marked for your spirit to remember why you were sent here, why you couldn't fit into systems others found comfort in, why your pain had purpose even when it broke you, why your loneliness was the wound that protected your authenticity when the world tried to turn you into someone forgettable. And now that the veil is thinning, you will start to recognize people for who they truly are, not just who they pretend to be. And some of the ones you trusted will reveal hidden resentment. Some of the ones who walked away were not rejection, but divine protection. And you will realize that not everyone who clapped for you is cheering for your growth. Some are clapping to mask their fear that you'd outgrow them. And you did, and it hurt, but heaven saw it and kept you moving because your assignment requires clarity. And now that you see deeper, you must walk wiser, not paranoid, but discerning, because the secret wasn't just about others. It was about you, about how much light you carry, how much authority is stored inside your voice, your touch, your presence. And the moment you stop doubting yourself, you will see how creation bends around those who walk in alignment with God. And you will realize the delays were really training. The silence was sacred, and the detours were not wasted time, but hidden classrooms where heaven was forging you in fire, stripping away every lie that kept you small. And every day you stayed faithful even when you felt unseen was recorded in the spiritual realm. And now, Michael says, the scroll of your obedience is being opened, and the harvest begins not in the form of money or applause, but in the form of revelation, divine companionship, irreversible clarity, and assignments that carry eternal impact. And yes, you'll be tempted to shrink back, to play it safe, to wait until the fear disappears. But Archangel Michael reminds you, the fear isn't confirmation that you're off track. It's evidence that darkness is nervous because you're stepping into territory it never thought you'd claim, and your very existence, your breath, your decision to keep going is an act of spiritual warfare. And while others build platforms to be seen, you are being elevated in the unseen, and that's why your enemies cannot understand how you keep surviving, why you're still standing, still glowing, still growing, still praying, still creating, because they thought the pressure would break you, but it refined you. And now the version of you that's emerging is not who they left behind. It's who heaven waited for. And everything is changing now, not because something outside of you has shifted, but because you finally stopped waiting for permission to rise. And that was the key. That was the moment the gates opened. That was the secret. And it is still unfolding even now. And as you stand on the edge of this new revelation, Archangel Michael's voice reverberates through your spirit with both urgency and profound tenderness, because he knows the weight of what you're carrying. The secret you now hold is not simply a burden, but the key to your liberation, and he urges you to guard it with your whole heart while sharing it with the world in due time. Because your testimony will become a beacon for others who are still lost in the shadows of doubt and confusion. And this secret will break the chains of deception that have bound generations before you, unveiling the lies that have masked your true identity and calling you back to the destiny etched into your soul from before time began. And though the path ahead may seem daunting, with obstacles and betrayals disguised as friendships. Michael assures you that you are surrounded by legions of angels whose purpose is to protect, guide, and empower you with heavenly strength that no earthly weapon can overcome. And the spiritual battles you face are not signs of defeat, but confirmations that you are advancing in the divine plan, forging your faith in fire and sharpening your vision to pierce through the illusions of this world. And remember, the confusion of your enemies is a sign that you are winning in ways they cannot comprehend, because their efforts to stop you only awaken the unstoppable force within. The warrior spirit that stands firm even when the earth beneath shakes, the light that refuses to dim no matter how dark the night, and the voice that will rise to speak truth even when it trembles. For Archangel Michael says your endurance is the testimony that will rewrite the stories of pain and rejection you once believed about yourself and replace them with declarations of victory, restoration, and purpose. And the secret you carry is the fire that will ignite a transformation not just in your life, but in the lives of all who are ready to hear it, because it reveals that your suffering was never without meaning. Your setbacks were steps forward in disguise, and your brokenness was the fertile soil for your greatest strength to grow. And as you step boldly into this new chapter, you will find doors opening that were once sealed, connections aligning that were once random, and miracles unfolding in ways that defy explanation but confirm the reality of divine orchestration. And while the world may try to distract you with noise, confusion, or fear, your spirit will recognize the sacred rhythm that signals your breakthrough is imminent. And Archangel Michael commands you to hold fast to your faith, to keep your heart open to the whispers of guidance that come like gentle winds or fierce storms. Because every moment you resist the urge to turn back, you step further into your God-given authority. And as this secret unfolds within you and around you, you will come to understand that the greatest enemy was never the people who opposed you, but the doubts that tried to cage your soul. And now, with heaven's help, those doubts are dissolving like mist under the morning sun, revealing the powerful, radiant being you were always meant to be, whose light is too bright to be ignored, whose voice is too strong to be silenced, and whose destiny is too vast to be contained by any earthly limitation. And so, Archangel Michael's final urging to you is this: embrace this secret with courage, live it with integrity, and share it with love, for it will not only change everything you believe, but also set free the lives of those who are waiting for the truth you carry. And in this moment, right now, the unseen armies of heaven stand behind you, their wings beating in harmony with your heart, their swords drawn to protect you, and their love surrounding you like a shield that no darkness can penetrate. And as you walk forward into this divine unveiling, remember, you are not alone. You have never been alone. And the secret that will break your heart will also be the very thing that frees your life to soar higher than you ever imagined possible.